Hello, today we're going to review the demand request module of ServiceNow. The demand request module in ServiceNow is going to be used to replace what we currently use for the charter and work requests. The charter and work requests are the documents that are completed when you're requesting an enhancement or a project through the IT department. The demand request module in ServiceNow is going to give us a common location for all IT demand requests, otherwise known as enhancements. We will be utilizing this ServiceNow demand functionality to organize these requests. We will be using out-of-the-box functionality as well as some configurable parameters. This will allow business users to enter their requests into ServiceNow and flow these requests to portfolio IT directors for review. We will then be able to migrate these demand requests into projects within the ServiceNow program. To give you an idea of how your demand request will flow through, the business users and IT users will be able to enter their demand request into ServiceNow. You will then be able to invite people to collaborate or work with you on your demand request, entering information that's needed prior to submitting your request to the IT department for review. Once you've entered in all your information about your demand or your enhancement that you're requesting, you'll then submit that request. The IT demand manager will then review your request and contact you regarding that demand that you've submitted. They will then meet with you, collaborate, review your request, and further define anything that they need related to your request. They may also contact stakeholders to assign a value, priority, and risk to the demand. This is called a screening process. Once we've determined how many hours that request will take, we will then send it for an approval process. The approval process can either go to a PWG review process, or the approval can stay within the IT department in order to determine when your demand will go into a development stage. The demand request has certain stages, and the stages that you will be relating with are the draft and the submitted stage here. You will go into ServiceNow, you will create the draft for the demand. You'll then save your draft, in which an email will be sent out to everyone who you wish to work with on your draft. And once you're satisfied with all the information that's in your draft, you'll then submit it. After submitting your draft, the information will be sent over to the IT department that will work on the demand. The demand manager in that area will then contact you, advising you that they have received your demand. The demand request will then go through several other stages before it is screened, qualified, approved, and finally, it's turned into a project when it's completed. So now let's take a look at how we enter a demand in ServiceNow. First, what you will do is you will go into this link, lazyboy.service-now.com, and you will log in. Once you've logged into ServiceNow, you'll select Service, Demands, and Create New. So Self-Service, Demands, Create New. At the top of the screen, you'll find these boxes. Wherever you see the red asterisk, that's required information that you need to fill out. The name is the same as the project name on the charter and the work request. So this is the name of your request or the name of your project. Over here is where you can search the knowledge database for any related incidents or similar keyword matches. Off to the right, this is the fiscal year in which you would like to request your demand to start. Below is the business vertical. This determines which IT department you would like to receive your demand request. Up here on the upper right, you can attach any related documents by clicking the paperclip. Down here for your collaborators, these are the users who can edit or contribute to your request. You want to add any directors and any others who need to participate in your request. And the little icon here is if you add yourself as a collaborator. Let's look further at the collaborator screen. Right here for the collaborators. Again, this icon here would add yourself as a collaborator. If you click the little lock, you can see that it's going to expand the collaborators. When clicking on the magnifying glass, this is going to allow you to search the Active Directory list. When you click on the lock and you type in a name in the Active Directory list, it's going to give you suggestions on people in the Active Directory list to add to your collaborator list. Down below, you can also enter an email address of non-Active Directory users. Now keep in mind, anyone in the Active Directory list that has access to ServiceNow will be able to look at the demand, and they will be able to edit your demand once you have saved it. Anyone outside of ServiceNow will not be able to view the demand and make any changes to your demand. So you will need to send them a hard copy of the demand. Once you scroll further down into the demand, you will then come to the business case field. Again, this is a required field. The business case field is equal to the description of business opportunity field in the charter and the overview field in the work request. This is where you're going to put your business arguments or your strategic objectives that support your demand. You'll then come to the benefits realization timeline. This is when the business expects to start realizing the benefits. At minimum, you're going to want to put the fiscal year, the quarter, and month when the project should be completed. Scrolling further down, you'll come to the assumptions. This is equivalent to the charter and work request assumptions field. Any assumptions made on the demand. This helps define our scope and risks and fine-tune our estimates for our time and cost. Scrolling down, we come to our risk of performing. The risk to the company or to the system if the demand is approved and implemented. This aligns with the risk field on the project charter and the issues and risk field in the work request. And then we come to our risk of not performing. The risk if the demand is not approved. For example, the risk of the loss of opportunity. Then we come to our business as-is process. This relates to the same field in the work request. You want to outline how the business is currently performing the task without this demand. This is a very high-level description of the processes and the procedures by which the information is currently handled by the business or a system in the area being automated or modified. Then we come to the business recommendation. This is equivalent to the business recommendations field in the work request. These are any ideas submitted by the business. Scrolling further down, we come to in scope. What will the project accomplish? What are the boundaries that define the extent of the project? The in scope field can also be found in the charter, as well as the out of scope field. What will the project not accomplish? What will the project not be held accountable for accomplishing? Next, come to the barriers. The barriers is where we're going to list our dependencies. Barriers impede the implementation of a project. But additionally, we're going to list our dependencies here, as there is not a field that strictly calls out for dependencies. So what tasks, events, or other projects or capabilities outside of this project must the team be aware of, and how might they impact this project? And then the last field you come to are your enablers. Are there any key enablers for this demand? Anything that's going to support or facilitate the implementation of this project. Once you have all the fields completed, you will first see a Save and Submit button. The Save button is going to save all of your demand inputs and stay in the current demand request screen. It's then going to send an email to your collaborators to invite them to collaborate on your demand. Remember, if they have access to ServiceNow, that they can go into the demand and they can make any changes to any of those fields that you've entered, and they can save the changes as well. If they don't have access to ServiceNow, you will need to send them a copy of the demand, and I'm going to show you how to do that. The Submit button is going to save all your changes as well, but it's going to exit you out to a list of your requests. Now, once you have done your initial save, you'll have a new set of buttons. You'll have the Save, Update, and Submit. The difference here is your update is going to allow you to update the demand input, and it's going to exit you back to the ServiceNow function bar. The Submit Demand button is actually going to create your demand request. Once you click the Submit Demand button, you can no longer edit the demand, and neither can your collaborators, the people that you were working with the demand on. This now turns your demand over to the demand managers in the IT department. They will contact you within a week of receiving your demand request to let you know that they have received your request. Let's take a look at the ServiceNow module now and see how this is going to work for you. So we're in ServiceNow here. And I'm going to go over to Demands and create new. And here I have the required field of name. So I'm going to put in the name of my project. And in this particular case, I'm going to use a retail project that has been requested. And it is CPU schedule return. The fiscal year, again, is when you want the project to start. So I'm going to put in this fiscal year and what business vertical is going to work on the project. And I'm going to select the retail IT department. I can attach documents by clicking the paperclip icon and browsing to attach the document if I want to. And I come over here to pick my collaborators. Click the lock. Here, I can select my collaborators from the Active Directories. And I'm going to pick TJ as one of my collaborators. I'm going to select Boggs as another collaborator. Now, if I have someone outside of the organization that I want to collaborate with, I can enter their email address here. And make them a collaborator. Once I'm done adding my collaborators, I can lock that back up. Now remember, my collaborators are going to receive an email once I save this to ask them if they want to join in, and they can put their comments on my demand. Just remember that anyone who does not have access to ServiceNow will not be able to actually comment directly on the demand. They will have to send their comments to you. Business case. I come in here and put in my information on my business case. As an example, the business here may want to say they want to enable functionality in RMS to schedule a return to a delivery route for a unit that was originally a CPU facelift. At a store. Benefits realization. When do they want to start realizing the benefits? When should this demand be completed? The fiscal year, quarter, and month. Any assumptions that are going to be made on the project? The assumptions could be allow users to schedule a CPU with product being returned on a home delivery. Now, using the same functionality as items originally set for home delivery. What are the risks of performing this demand? We're going to say there are no known risks at this time. What are the risks of not performing this demand? Current process is very manual. Customer unsatisfied. What is the business as is process? Let's say here, for the business as is process, I want to put in a diagram. I can copy and paste a diagram by clicking copy from a diagram and coming in here and doing a paste. It'll ask me if I want to keep my formatting. I'm going to say keep formatting. And you can see that it just put in my diagram. You can do that with any Word document, with anything that you want. You can just copy and paste it right into here. So you don't actually have to use the format that is here in ServiceNow. What are my business recommendations? You can go ahead and key in your business recommendations here. What is in scope? What is out of scope? What are your barriers? And remember, your barriers are going to be your dependencies. And if you have any enablers. And at this point, I'm going to save. When I save, an email is going to be sent to everyone that is on my collaborator list. The email that the collaborators will see is going to look like this. Now, as I said before, anyone who doesn't have access to ServiceNow isn't going to know what that means. So I may want to email them a copy of this demand. So you can come here, click Export PDF to Portrait, open up the PDF file, and you can then email them a copy of the demand. Once they have responded to you and you've finished with all of your edits on your demand, you can come down here and click Submit Demand. Once you have submitted your demand will go over to the demand manager for that business vertical. that you have assigned the demand to. The demand manager will respond to you in a week of receiving the demand to let you know that they have received your demand. So if you have any changes after you have entered the demand, you can make them aware of those changes at that time. If you have any questions in regards to entering a demand request in ServiceNow, please feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Evie Boudreau, and thank you very much for your time today.